avalanche of book deals coming out from journalists about one of the biggest scandals of the last 4 years, Biden's cognitive decline. This author says he was betrayed. This author says he was blindsided. All these media personalities are acting shocked that Biden was asleep at the switch, out to lunch, had lost his marbles. But of course, anyone with eyes could see that the entire time. In 2020, National Review said Biden was unfit to be a nominee. Not president, but a nominee, because he kind of had this habit of rambling on, getting irritable, lashing out at audiences, like an elderly grandpa who has memory problems. In 2021, NR's Jim Garrity clocked it days after the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He said, "Something is wrong with President Biden, and we are all being asked to pretend we don't notice."
But we've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
What did you think when you first saw those pictures?
What I thought was we have to gain control of this. We have to move this more quickly. We have to move in a way in which we can take control of that airport. And we did.
My question is, what were the national security implications of Biden being nearly mentally incapacitated? Like, what official state duties were neglected? Who was running the show in Biden's absence, which he basically was. And if he doesn't even know when the Afghanistan withdrawal occurred, how do we know he was the one calling the shots? It makes you wonder about the border crisis. Was Biden even aware of what was happening at the southern border? His ineptitude obviously invited Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Hamas's invasion of Israel, but is there more? Back to Jim's piece, CNN picked it up, said it was nonsense. Republicans keep trying to make Biden's mental capacity an issue, they said. Those who have raised doubts are not doctors or medical professionals. This is the sort of gross, lowest common denominator politics that drive people away from public life. If Republicans have some sort of proof that Biden is declining, they should bring it forward. If they don't, they should stop what they're doing immediately. But it was obvious. In September 2021, only 43% of people who Pew Research polled said they thought Biden was mentally sharp, and that was an 11-point decline since March of the same year. The country could see the emperor had no clothes, but that was too taboo to talk about. We called it then, Fox called it then, a lot of other outlets called it then, but the Democrats proceeded to put up a frail man with suspected dementia on the ticket, and he won despite campaigning from his basement and the beach in Delaware. And then it was a ticking time bomb. As Scooby-Doo villains say, the Democrats would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for that pesky debate. It's hard even now to watch, but let's roll tape.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24% or 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
The lie that Biden was smart as a whip, a spring chicken, doing cartwheels in his sleep, fell apart in like 20 minutes. Then the Democratic media went into panic mode, throwing Biden under the bus because, well, their nominee was no longer viable. Kamala Harris was installed, or I should say coronated, at the 11th hour to save face. And after Democrats gaslit the public for 4 years that Biden was definitely not falling apart, they gave us another psyop. Yeah, let's convince voters that Kamala Harris is a born-again, measured moderate, and an intellectual, not the radical leftist and vacuous cipher that we all know her to be. When Trump won the 2024 election, all these media people that held up the Biden lie had a choice. Apologize for misleading everyone and accept that it led to the Democrats' defeat, or feign ignorance and make a fat check along the way. You may have noticed that CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson, who Penguin Publisher calls two of America's most respected journalists, oh, give me a break, released a book about the Biden cover-up called Original Sin. It contains juicy revelations into Biden's breakdown during his tenure, which again is not news, and we weren't allowed to talk about it for 4 years. This was Jake Tapper up until literally a few months ago. Watch.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
It's very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have I can't. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it, exaggerates it, belittles it. He's sharp physically. I mean, mentally.
Yeah.
I think the question is physically, right?
Right.
More so?
Right.
Right. And the guy who's his chief opponent is only 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Exactly.
I mean, you have questioned President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead. Of those supporting Biden, you said, quote, "Shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster." Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. Sure. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercise in narcissism. I mean, false claims to the Wall Street Journal about President Biden's mental fitness and acuity. He's 81, and his memory, it doesn't seem great. It's not horrible, but I don't understand the outrage. Quote, "Behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping," unquote. The Wall Street Journal is owned by News Corp, which is run by the Murdochs. Beyond the headline, there is some critical nuance here. The article is mostly based on observations of Republicans, with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy the only one going on the record. They do note in the article that most of the criticism comes from Republicans. Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No.
This just makes my blood boil. He maligned the character of people who made accurate observations about Biden stumbling and stuttering because he was trying to protect the president rather than do his journalistic duty to report the truth. Talk about Orwellian, where we're told to deny the evidence of our eyes and ears. So is it really any wonder that the media has no credibility anymore? The Biden lie keeps snowballing, and these authors are the ones continuing the conspiracy. Make no mistake. One of the stories in Tapper's book is that George Clooney, the Hollywood actor who really loves to meddle in politics, said Biden did not recognize him when they shook hands. George, the assistant guiding Biden told the president, trying to remind him who was in front of him, one of the world's most famous actors and the host of the lucrative event Biden was attending. Yeah, Biden said. Thank you for being here. As the exchange continued, the book says it seemed clear that the president had not recognized Clooney. George Clooney, the aide clarified to Biden at the fundraiser. "Oh yeah," Biden said. "Hi, George." So after the disastrous debate, George Clooney wrote an op-ed which implored Biden to step aside. It reverberated throughout Hollywood. Clooney said, "I love Joe Biden as a senator, as a vice president and president. I consider him a friend. I believe in him, believe in his character, believe in his morals. In the last 4 years, he's won many of the battles he's faced. But the one battle he cannot win is the fight against time. None of us can. It's devastating to say it, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe big effing deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate." Clooney is referring to the star-studded fundraiser in LA, co-hosted by him and Julia Roberts, that raised over $30 million for Biden's campaign. So what was once written off as a conspiracy theory and cheap fakes by Biden's White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, is now fodder for what will likely end up being quite a lucrative book deal. And there's more where that came from. Apparently there's an assembly line of book deals coming out right now.
And I think that it tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. And instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes, these manipulated videos. And it is, again, done in bad faith.
And by the way, where is KJP right now? If I were Jake Tapper, she'd be first on my list to interrogate on the "is Joe Biden all right" propaganda. And by the way, where is KJP? Oh, I remember. She's busy in her new role as Grand Marshal of the NYC Pride Parade, from one grift to the next. So when Biden was MIA, taking a nap as he so often did, state business still had to happen. Apparently there was something called an auto pen, where Biden's signature was automatically affixed without him having to physically be there. Trump wants to get to the bottom of that, as do we. For more on that, click here.